Hello, good afternoon. This is Sam. I'm the content manager here at Practice Alchemy, and I'm here today with Liza Hanks. Welcome, Liza.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today and being featured as our Member of the Month. So I'd like to start by just having you tell us a little bit about your practice.
Right. So I and my partner have a small boutique estate planning, trust, and probate administration practice in Palo Alto, California. The firm's been around for about 30 years, actually, and has really deep roots in the community. And so we do all the drafting, and we're just a really high-touch, high-service firm.
That's awesome. That's amazing to have that much history going on there at Palo Alto.
Right. I know, but we're sort of a stealth firm. Like, no marketing's been done at this firm for probably 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there was a rainmaker, one of the founders, but she retired 15 years ago, and as far as I can tell, no marketing had been done since she left.
Wow. So you kind of brought in Practice Alchemy to help with that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, before I brought in Practice Alchemy, I created a website, and we didn't even have a website. I mean, for 5 years you couldn't even get an appointment here unless you knew someone. It was like kind of firm.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not my practice at all. I was a solo practitioner before I joined, so I was used to being out and constantly talking to people and constantly getting my name out there. So this is a really different kind of practice that I joined. But yeah, I brought in Practice Alchemy to kind of help me get to another level in terms of building a pipeline.
That's
and because,
great.
Of course, especially in an estate planning practice, right? People die. I mean, you have to bring in new clients. You can't just, no. But really, like this practice is a mature practice, and our clients actually die all the time, and so we have to be bringing in the new affluent families, and that wasn't being done. So I did Raj's flat fee workshop first, actually, when it was a workshop before it Practice Alchemy, because I had been a flat fee planner before I joined this practice, and then when I joined this practice in 2010, my partner was like, "Nope, we're just doing hourly here. You're not doing that." But I really missed it, and I don't like billing hourly, and so that workshop helped me reinstitute a flat fee program here that's been really successful and profitable for us.
That's great. I love to hear that.
Right. So on the basis of that, I signed up for Project Alchemy last year to do the marketing piece. Because Raj had earned some street cred with me for being right about most of what he had to say.
That's so great. We love hearing when members are able to make what we have to offer their own and grow it in ways that, we hope people do, but it does take a lot of work on the member side. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our White Knight Builder, because I know you've had some success kind of making it your own. So would you mind talking a little bit about that?
Right. So the most useful thing for me about the whole concept of White Knight marketing was that that's what I've been doing all along. I just didn't have a way of explaining it to myself or understanding what I was doing, right? Because I knew I had an allergy to the kind of hard-line sales scare tactic stuff that a lot of estate planners use, like you better do this or your kids will be, living on the street. And I'm like, I hate that.
Yeah.
So, and I've been a writer for a long time. I've written a couple of books, and my attitude has always been like to help people by giving them really useful information, right? And a sideways way of marketing, right? Because then people trust you, and they feel like you're giving them something useful. So when Raj called it White Knight marketing, I'm like, right, that's what I do. Like all of a sudden, but it was super helpful to have a framework for it, and to give me a conception for how I wanted to sort of systematize it and sort of focus on it. So what I did was I hired a designer to create an ebook for me. The first one is on digital assets, because that's a topic I was interested in, and I was asked to do a talk. And so I thought, well, I'll show up at the talk with this first piece of collateral that I can use, but the template is reusable. So not that I've had time to do it yet, but I have like 5 titles I want to do, and they're each going to look the same. It's already content I've already written in other forms, but not as a specific handout, So that's how. So, but the barrier was like I didn't have any printed collateral that looked good because I'm graphically inept. So I had to actually pay somebody some money to help me design it, but it's reusable. So I'll use it over this year and do one each quarter, and then they're uploaded onto my website too.
That's awesome.
So that's super helpful. And the way I'm planning on using them in 2016 is, because the thing I suck at is, I assume you'll be editing this, is asking for referrals. I find that really hard to do. So I've decided I'm going to give these white knight pieces to my clients when they finish and say, hey, if you know anybody who's facing any of these issues, I'd love it if you pass this on. And that's how I'm going to ask for more referrals that way.
That's so
I'm
great.
more comfortable with that.
Right, and not making it seem salesy, which is such a thing that I know most of our members struggle with, and it's hard to ask for those things.
I'm also going to order little gold stars from like the Oriental Trading Company.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to give each of my clients a gold star when they're done, saying like, now you're an actual grown up, and I'm proud of you. Here's a gold star. I want you to wear it at your next dinner party and tell everybody how responsible you are. Because I already sort of tell them to go and lord this over their friends, because everybody needs to do an estate plan, and most people haven't done it. But it's just sort of a funny way to ask for them to pass stuff on to their friends who could use it. So that's my plan for the
I think that's so great.
Stuff.
That's so great. Yeah. And I know you've talked about, you mentioned before that, that you just didn't have a name for what you were already doing with the White Knight. Can you just talk about kind of what the effect you've had so far by implementing it more tactfully? I know you're going to start to make these big changes this year, but have you had any good feedback from what you've already done with the digital asset one that you created?
Well, yeah, I've had good feedback on that, but I sort of reframe that a little and say, the bigger thing is the referral marketing newsletter, which is also White Knight marketing, right? Because I wrote it. Each one is designed to help a allied professional, right? So a lawyer in another form of practice, or CPA, or an accountant, do a better job for their clients by helping them flag issues that people might come into their office with and they might not recognize as like an estate planning issue, right? So they're kind of broken into categories like transition, so like divorce, birth, death, or process, so what's probate, what's trust administration, what's an executor, what's a trustee, or taxes. So there's like 4 on different aspects of like capital gains and income and estate and gift taxes, right? So that set of 12 is also White Knight marketing, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I've gotten great feedback on that. People have been they read it, and they say, oh, that's interesting. I learned something, and then I'm trying to make it sort of more open source than I've said, like, tell me what you want me to write about in 2016. Just shoot me an idea. Like, let's all build this together. Then nobody's taken me up on it, but
it's still early.
I would call that White Knight marketing too. But again, I didn't have a name for it when I wrote it. But I always write that way for people. I mean, I'm not really interested in me. It's about me, right? It's about them.
Right. Yeah.
What they need.
It's very apparent just talking to you that you're all about giving your clients, educating your clients and giving them useful information and tools to help them. And when they reach that obstacle that they can't get through, they're going to want to come to you because you're so open about it and honest about it.
That's always been true. Like that's how I built my practice. But it's been helpful to, articulate and frame it in a way that I wouldn't have. Because I didn't go to business school, or I don't read books. I don't really care about that stuff.
Most attorneys haven't, right?
right. So that's been helpful.
That's great. So given all of this, all of these useful tools that you've been able to build, do you have any advice for other attorneys that are struggling, or kind of, a lot of the time we get the feedback that attorneys can't find the time to make these things happen, or they can't, force themselves to sit down. Do you have any advice for attorneys that are struggling to build something like this for themselves?
Yeah, maybe for one, I think they shouldn't underestimate what they already know. They don't have to learn anything new.
Right.
They already know a lot of really useful stuff, and they just take it for granted because they just do it all day long.
Of course.
So I would say first, focus on what you already know. Second, I'd say never do anything once. So a lot of attorneys I know, they'll go give a talk, and I'm like, okay, so you did the talk, so you've already done it. So now turn that into 10 more things that you can use instead of feeling like, attorneys can be so perfectionist and sort of type A and stuff, and I just wish people would relax a little bit and realize that you can just repurpose things, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that enough either. I mean, it's but to never think of any project as just one thing, right? It can also be
Right.
a blog, it can be on LinkedIn, it can be an ebook, it can be a newsletter, and it's all the same content, and it's stuff that they already know. I think they make the barrier too high.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
I think that's great advice. I know I may be falsely crediting this to Raj, but something we talk about all the time in our company is that you want to get across the same information in 3 different ways because everybody learns differently. Everyone's going to respond to things differently. So, and I know as an attorney, attorneys are perfectionists. They're trying to make everything perfect, but the way you might interpret information may be different from a potential client. So repurposing that stuff that you think is old is actually a pretty useful tool to have in your tool belt.
I used to be a magazine editor, and those successful freelancers that we worked with, they taught me that, right? They'd write an article, it would turn into a book. It would turn into a blog, it would turn into a website, it would turn into 5 other things. Mm-hmm. They never wrote anything once because they couldn't afford to. And so I learned that from my magazine days too. And a lot of attorneys don't know that. And I guess the other thing is the real takeaway for me for the referral marketing program last year was I don't know how to put this in a not self-deprecating way, but honestly, most attorneys are snots, right? And we don't pay attention to allied professionals really. Like financial planners would call me for coffee, and I'm like, oh my God, kill me now. Like I do it, but I didn't enjoy it,
Right.
When I started to create these newsletters, then it got to be like I actually got like really interested, and it was really fun for me to think about these people and how I could help them. Mm-hmm. And it gave me a reason to like actually want to have coffee with them because I was like, interested in like what's coming into their office, like what can I write about next, and then I was genuinely interested in them, and then it just kind of builds on itself, right? Like now it's the marketing part's kind of fun for me because I have a place to put it. Like I get someone's card and I'm like, what am I going to do with that? Like they're all over my office, Now I have a mailing list. So now I have something to do with that name, right?
Yeah.
And I can send them a letter and I can say, here's a copy of my book. I just added you to my mailing list. It's a monthly thing, and there's all these topics, and I hope that, you enjoy it. And I never had anything to do with all that information before. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of attorneys are probably that same way.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think it's great.
We're just so busy, like, stressing about billing or whatever, and you forget that, like, it's an ecosystem, and we're all in the same boat,
Oh, yeah. And you guys are building, it has evolved from a hassle, something you have to do, something that you've been wanting to do, into a joy and a community building opportunity.
Yeah, it's actually sort of fun. And now I want to start doing some seminars and stuff because I was like, actually, I was bored sitting at my desk, just taking care of clients all the time. This is actually a part of my job that I really like.
Yeah.
But I'm weird that way. My partner doesn't even want to answer the phone. I mean, different people are different.
Yeah, everybody's different, but it's cool to recognize that and recognize that evolution in yourself and in your tactics for your own practice.
Kind of burned out on my job and kind of bored and kind of sick of being in my office all the time. And now I have like something to do that's actually I like.
That's awesome. So my final question for you, Liza, and it doesn't have to be related to your practice, but just in general, what are you most looking forward to for 2016?
Right. I'm laughing because my first thought is going away, like getting out of my office.
That's so great. That's huge.
Yeah. So I guess I would say I'm looking forward to having a more satisfying job, more time off, but the work's getting done when I'm not here. But also I'm looking forward to continuing to build up my credentials as I hate the word thought leader, but community resource maybe in this area.
That's so great. That's so awesome. Liza, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I think, you're going to be you're already going to be a great community resource for the rest of our members. And I'm really excited to see what 2016 brings for you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right.